It was an unusually quiet afternoon in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Senate chamber was not packed, but the mood was focused. Senators came and went, looking at papers, checking their phones, nodding through routine discussions. Then something unexpected happened. Senator Lisa's respected voice from the cold, far-off state of Alaska stood up. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't greet anyone with small talk. She just walked to the podium and looked up. Her expression was calm, but everyone could tell she came to speak about something serious. Mr. President, my colleagues, I come here today not to talk about Alaska, not to talk about pipelines or fisheries or ice roads. I came here to talk about justice. And about a man named Nnamdi Kanu. Silence dropped across the room. Senator Lisa held up a folder in her hand. Nandi Konu is a Nigerian political activist and the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He was arrested, no, let's call it what it is, abducted from Kenya in 2021 and taken to Nigeria. Since then, he has been locked in detention under terrible conditions. She flipped open the folder and read from a court ruling. Nigeria's own courts, yes, their own judiciary, ruled that his detention was illegal and ordered his release. That ruling came from the Court of Appeal in 2022. And yet, to this day, he is still held. Some senators started whispering. Not because they disagreed, but because they were surprised. A U.S. senator, from a state as distant as Alaska, was speaking strongly on a human rights case from Africa. Senator Lisa continued. This is not about whether you agree with Kanu's views or not. It's not about politics. It's not about who is right or wrong in the long history of Nigerian ethnic conflict. No. This is about the law. When a country's court says a man must be freed, and the government ignores it, that's not democracy. That's tyranny hiding in plain sight. She paused and looked slowly around the chamber. And I say this today with no apology, if Nigeria wants to be a respected member of the global community, it must start by respecting its own laws. You cannot detain a man endlessly when your court says let him go. Her voice was low but firm. She wasn't shouting. She didn't need to. And to the Nigerian government, if you're watching, and I know you are, this is not a request. This is a warning. The world is watching. America is watching. If you continue to detain Nnamdi Kanu against the orders of your own courts, don't be surprised when consequences come. The room was frozen. Lisa didn't blink. She folded the court ruling and placed it back in her folder. We talk a lot about democracy, rule of law, and human rights here. We pass resolutions, hold hearings, and talk big. But if we do not stand up for a man locked up without legal ground, then our words are empty. A few senators nodded quietly. She finished with this. You cannot crush a people's voice by silencing one man. And you cannot kill an idea with handcuffs. Mr. Kanu must be released. The law demands it. Justice demands it. And today, I demand it too. And then she walked back to her seat. That was it. She didn't look for applause. She didn't give interviews right after. She didn't need to. Her words had done what words rarely do in politics, they hit the truth straight. Across the chamber, it was quiet again, but not empty. Something real had just happened. Something strong. Within minutes, video clips of her speech started circulating online. People watching from home began posting and sharing it on social media. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Someone posted. Senator Lisa from Alaska just said what millions of Nigerians are afraid to say out loud. #free Nnamdi Kanu. A young Nigerian-American student in Chicago tweeted. Wow. She didn't beg. She didn't sugarcoat. She stood up and said, this is a warning. That's power. Within an hour, the hashtags began to trend. #free Nnamdi Kanu. #Senator Lisa speaks. #justice for Kanu. #warning to Nigeria. But even more powerful than the hashtags was the feeling it gave people. That someone in a position of power cared. That someone wasn't afraid to name names. That even from far-off Alaska, the voice of truth could travel all the way to Abuja. Senator Lisa had spoken just once. But her words left Washington, D.C., like a stone dropped in a river, creating ripples that quickly grew into waves. By the time she returned to her office in the Hart Senate building, her phone was already buzzing. Staffers came in, holding their phones, surprised. Your video is going viral." Lisa didn't say much. She just nodded, took off her coat, and sat down. She had said what she came to say. But out there, people were beginning to talk, and not just in America. Across the Atlantic, in Nigeria, people were waking up to something they hadn't seen in a while: real foreign pressure. By 9 a.m. Nigerian time, her clip had been posted and reposted on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, WhatsApp, and even LinkedIn. The video was short, just under 3 minutes, but it hit like thunder. The hashtags exploded. #Senator Lisa speaks. #Nnamdi Kanu now. #America is watching. #Justice cannot wait. A popular Nigerian influencer tweeted. She didn't beg. She didn't say we are concerned. She said, this is a warning. No long talk. Straight to the point. Nigerian news channels quickly picked it up. Channels TV, Arise News, Sahara Reporters, and even international outlets like BBC Africa and Al Jazeera Africa ran the headline. U.S. Senator gives Nigeria direct warning over Nnamdi Kanu. In the streets of Onitsha, Aba, Enugu, and even Abuja, people were talking. In a bus park in Lagos, one man said to another, "Imagine. A woman in faraway Alaska has more courage than our whole National Assembly." At a university in Port Harcourt, a lecturer stopped his class halfway to play the video. "Listen to this," he said. "This is what leadership sounds like." For many Nigerians, this was the first time in years that they felt someone important, not a protester, not a blogger, not an activist, but a government official from the most powerful country in the world, was speaking their truth. Meanwhile, inside the Nigerian government, the shock was immediate. Meetings were called. Phones rang non-stop. Top officials asked, "Who told the Americans about this? Why is Alaska involved? Can this affect our relationship with the US?" The Foreign Affairs Ministry held a closed-door session that same day. No press was allowed. But one diplomat, speaking anonymously, later told a journalist, "They are panicking." This wasn't a soft statement. It was a direct call-out. And coming from someone like Lisa Harrington, it carries weight. Back in Washington, the Nigerian ambassador to the US sent a private message requesting a meeting with Senator Lisa's office. Her team acknowledged it, but didn't respond immediately. "She's not playing games," one aide said. "They'll wait." Within 24 hours, the US State Department was asked about it during a press briefing. The spokesperson said, "We are aware of Senator Harrington's comments. We continue to monitor the situation and encourage all parties to respect judicial processes and human rights." It was diplomatic, but everyone could feel the pressure behind the words. Meanwhile, back in Nigeria, civil society groups and legal associations used the opportunity to push harder. The Nigerian Bar Association issued a new press release. "If the Nigerian government cannot respect the judgment of its own courts, then our democracy is a lie. We support all international voices demanding justice for Nnamdi Kanu." Lawyers held up placards outside court buildings. Students shared graphics of Senator Lisa with the words, "Courage. Truth. Justice." Even markets felt the buzz. A trader in Yaba told her neighbor, "Let them fear small now. If they don't fear God, at least let them fear America." In detention, news reached Nnamdi Kanu. His lawyer came to see him that evening and brought printouts of the headlines. Kanu read them quietly, then placed his hand on his chest. "Tell her I heard," he said. "Tell her I am grateful. And tell her, I am still strong." In that small moment, hope returned to a man the world thought had been forgotten. And Senator Lisa? She didn't tweet. She didn't post anything online. She didn't appear on talk shows. She simply released a short written statement. Justice anywhere is the responsibility of all. I will continue to speak where silence has failed. The silence had truly failed. But Lisa had not. And now, with millions watching, one simple American voice had begun to shift the weight of a very heavy issue. The ball was now in Nigeria's court. The world was no longer quiet. And even if they didn't want to act, they had to answer. By the end of the week, Senator Lisa's voice had gone beyond headlines. Her short but direct speech had crossed borders. It was playing on radio stations in rural Nigeria. It was shared in group chats of African communities in Europe. It was quoted on African diaspora podcasts in New York, London, and Johannesburg. But the most serious reaction wasn't online. It was inside the Nigerian presidency. A closed-door meeting was held at the presidential villa in Abuja. Only a few people were there: the National Security Advisor, the Attorney General, and a few trusted aides. No cameras. No phones. No recordings. But someone inside the room later leaked a few key words. The president reportedly said, "We didn't expect this kind of international heat from Alaska, of all places." They all agreed on one thing: Senator Lisa's warning had landed hard. It wasn't just a regular statement from a foreign lawmaker. It was direct. It was public. And it was growing. Behind the scenes, Nigeria's foreign mission in Washington had sent a report. It warned that more American lawmakers were now watching the case. It included this line: "Further silence may lead to diplomatic embarrassment." Back in Washington, Senator Lisa still didn't make a big show. She didn't go on CNN. She didn't tweet daily threads. But she met with two other senators and quietly shared documents about Kanu'S case. One of them, a senior member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, agreed to bring it up at the next Africa Subcommittee meeting. "Let's keep the pressure clean," Lisa said. "No insults. Just the truth." Meanwhile, human rights groups took the moment and ran with it. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and several African NGOs released joint statements demanding Nnamdi Kanu's release, citing not only the court order but also the poor medical care he was receiving in detention. Back in Nigeria, public tension was rising. News commentators on AIT and Arise TV began openly asking, "If the US Senator can read our court ruling, why is our government still ignoring it?" On the streets of Enugu and Aba, young people began holding small, peaceful rallies. Banners with bold writing appeared. "Release him. The world is watching." Senator Lisa spoke. "Abuja must listen. You can't arrest justice forever." Even older Nigerians, usually silent, began to speak in marketplaces, mosques, and churches. "That woman spoke with boldness," one elder told his neighbor. "She reminded me of the people we used to respect in the 60s. But behind the courage, fear was growing inside Aso Rock. Government advisors worried that Senator Lisa's speech might trigger an official reaction from the US State Department, or worse, economic consequences. Nigeria's top diplomat in Washington called the office of Senator Lisa, requesting a private conversation. She agreed, but on one condition. "The meeting will be recorded," she said. "And I will speak freely." The meeting happened on Zoom. Senator Lisa wore a plain blue dress and sat in front of an Alaska state flag. She spoke directly. "This is not about interfering in your politics. It's about basic law. Your court released him. Your government disobeyed. That is the problem." The Nigerian diplomat tried to defend the delay. "We are managing a sensitive national security matter," he said. But Lisa shook her head. "You can't break the law and call it strategy. That's not national security. That's national damage." After the call, her office released a short memo. "We appreciate the Nigerian embassy's engagement. But the demand remains: obey the ruling of your own court. Free Nnamdi Kanu. As more pressure mounted, Nigeria's ruling party began to split. Some members quietly told journalists that the issue is becoming a global stain. One lawmaker said, "We are being pushed into a corner. Either we obey our law or look like a fake democracy." And the man at the center of all this, Nnamdi Kanu, remained locked up. But this time, the silence around his case had been broken. In his cell, his lawyer handed him a letter, handwritten, from Alaska. It was short. Just 3 sentences. "Mr. Kanu, the world is catching up. Hold the line. Senator Lisa Harrington." Kanu folded the letter and placed it in his Bible. He whispered, "I will hold it." That night, from the cold corners of Alaska to the hot streets of Abuja, the message was one and the same. The world is no longer quiet. And if Nigeria wanted peace with its people and respect from the world, it had to do one simple thing: follow its own law. The voice that started it all? Just one woman. One senator. One warning. That couldn't be ignored.